Hi, I'm Shelley Wood and this is my tiny sewing room where I make doll clothes sewing videos. Today I'm going to show you how to make this winter Santa style coat, which will fit a number of small plush toys, 14 to 15-inch little girl dolls like the American Girl Wellie Wishers, 12-inch baby dolls like Baby Alive, and some 8-inch baby dolls like JC Toys Little Cutetsies. Now, as my regular followers know, in my day job, I'm actually a school librarian, so I love to recommend great books. And if you'd like to buy a book and toy combo for a little boy or girl this Christmas, you can make today's Santa coat to fit an adorable storybook character named Pete the Cat. Barnes & Nobles offers both the book and the toy for a very fair price. For kids in grades kindergarten through 3rd, these books are fantastic. You and your child or grandkids can make clothes to fit your little Pete the Cat plush toy with today's free PDF sewing patterns, which are found on shelleywood.com. So without further ado, please go to my website to download and print this free PDF sewing pattern. Use the pattern to cut out these 5 pieces from red felt and these 5 pieces from white felt. You'll also need these 5 pieces cut from cotton. Lay the back collar against the felt back. Then lay the cotton lining back over the top, sandwiching the collar in between like this. Okay, so here's my felt back, and here's my back of the collar. You want to lay that on top of the felt. And then with right sides facing, you'll want to turn over the cotton fabric so that it sandwiches that little felt collar in between. Sew across the collar. Here's a closer look at my collar stitches. Clip this collar, and that's what you see me doing here. Invert the jacket back so the stitches are inside. Okay, I've clipped it, and now I just flip it around, and you want the felt to stay together, so the felt white collar needs to stay on the side that the red felt back is on. There we go. Press the seam. Lay a front collar over a felt jacket front piece. Note the jacket opening extends out from the collar. Lay a cotton front lining piece over the top, sandwiching the collar piece between the fronts. Okay, so I've got my collar in between right there. Stitch around the neckline, down the front of the garment piece, and along the bottom where a hem would usually go. Your front should now look like this. Clip all seams and corners. Okay, so I'm taking my regular sewing scissors to cut the corners, and then I use a little pair of Fisker snips for clipping. Invert the garment's front piece. I like to use a chopstick to help me invert tiny garment pieces. So you'll notice that once I've turned it inside out with my fingers, then I use the chopstick to kind of twist those corners. Press your seams. Follow the same steps to make the other front. And then you'll have 2 garment front pieces and 1 garment back piece. Lay one of the fronts over the top of the back with felt sides together. Okay, so I'm laying my front on top of my back with the felt sides together. stitch them together at the shoulder. I used a backstitch for careful accuracy, and I do recommend that, but you could use a sewing machine, of course. Do the same for the other front piece. Okay, so I'm going to lay this one on the other shoulder of the back and sew across it. Now, if you'd like to learn how to do a back stitch, there's a link to my backstitch tutorial in the description below this video on YouTube. Open your garment up like this and press the shoulder seams. Next, we'll be adding the sleeves. Lay one sleeve cuff over a felt sleeve. Be sure to match the notches. Sandwich the sleeve cuff between the felt sleeve and the cotton sleeve, paying attention to your notch locations. Okay, so I've laid my cuff on top of the red felt, and then I lay my cotton over that. Sew across the bottom of all 3 pieces. Open your sleeve up like this. Okay, so I'm going to open it up so the felt pieces stay together. And press with the cuff against the red felt. Fold the sleeve so right sides are out. Okay, I'm going to do that next. So I'm going to fold it. So I'm looking at my cuff now and my red felt, and press along that fold. Lay your sleeve against the armhole opening. Okay, so here's my sleeve, right sides together, felt against felt. Stitch from the underarm area to just shy of the shoulder seam. Okay, so just so you guys understand, I want to make sure that you can see me doing this step, because you know, people need to see, especially with sleeves, they can be tricky. Okay, so I'm sewing with a back stitch, attaching it from the underarm to, I want to say like 1.5 centimeters from the shoulder seam. It might only be 1 centimeter from the shoulder seam. And then I'm going to tie a knot and cut my tails away. Wrap the sleeve around to the other underarm area. Okay, so I have this part attached, and then I'm going to wrap it around so I'm underarm to underarm on the opposite side from where I just stitched. I'm going to start sewing here, and again stitch from the underarm area to just shy of the shoulder seam. After this step, you'll have a little gap at the top you could stick your fingers through. Okay, so I'm doing a back stitch again, and my felt sides are touching, my cotton sides are out. I'm going to stitch from that underarm area to about, again, 1 to 1.5 centimeters shy of the shoulder seam where I've joined back and front garment pieces. Then I'm going to tie a little knot and cut my thread free. Again, you can see where my fingers come through that hole. Now carefully clip the seams you just made. Okay, so I'm clipping, at the top of the sleeve where the gap is. Gather the fabric of the sleeve. Now if you need help gathering, I do have a tutorial for that as well. Just look in the description below for that link. And what you're doing here is you're going to gather it until it matches that shoulder area of the front and back bodice of the jacket. Okay, so I've gathered it, and I can still stick my fingers through, but these two, when I pinch them together, they're the same now. The idea is to gather the top of the sleeve just enough so that when you pinch it together like this, it fits perfectly into the shoulder seam area. Then you use a back stitch to sew the top of the sleeve to the rest of the garment, attaching the shoulder of the sleeve to the shoulder of the jacket. Now when you open the jacket up, it's going to look like this. And here's how it looks from the wrong side. Okay, the lining side. Follow these same directions for the second sleeve, attaching it to the jacket in the exact same way just like you did before. Flip your jacket over to look at the right side. Fold one sleeve in half like this. So here's my jacket. I'm going to fold this little sleeve in half, and that's going to bring together the sides of the jacket and the underneath part of the sleeve. Stitch the side seam, sewing from the cuff's edge to the underarm, and then give it a little turn, and then from the underarm down the side, but leave it unsewn at the very bottom. I stopped sewing about 3 centimeters from the finished edge. Now later we'll need that gap to finish the back piece. Fold the other sleeve in half and sew its side seam exactly like you did before, leaving an unsewn gap at the bottom. Now as you can see, we don't have a finished hem area for the back. Turn the bottom edges of the garment's back piece inside themselves as shown in this video clip. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to flip it over so that you're looking at the back, and then you're going to turn the lining inside itself and the felt inside itself so that you can then join these two. Now I'm comparing it to the front pieces to make sure that the back isn't longer than the front. So you really want to give yourself lots of room to work with this. That's why I gave myself about 3 centimeters so that I can really compare and make sure they're going to be the same. They match up on that side seam. And it can be tricky. You can see I've done it like 4 times, 5 times, just to make sure that they are matching in length. That's the 6th time, I think. Yeah, because you want it to match. You really want it to match. And be patient with yourself. It takes time to get it to match right. So they're going to sew together nicely. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin this together. So once you've got the front and back to match, then you use some straight pins. You want the front and back pieces to be the same length. So you pin the bottom edge of the garments back in place, and then whip stitch to seal this back of the garment hem area. Now if you need help with the whip stitch, there's a tutorial for that. Just look in the description below. Now that you've closed off the bottom of the back, complete the side seams on each side of the garment. Clip your garment at the underarm area, and that's what you see me doing here. I just take one snip here, one snip here, then I flip it over, one snip on this side, one snip on that side. Invert the jacket, I just poke those sleeves through, careful to roll back the little cuff. You want the cuff to be, correctly aligned with the rest of the sleeve. And then it should come together nicely in the front. Now that your jacket looks like this, I recommend that you add a few snaps. Now if you need help sewing snaps on a garment, guess what? There's a tutorial in the description below. How cute is this little Santa jacket? It is so adorable. I couldn't believe I designed that thing. And now you can try your jacket on a doll or a plush toy. Best wishes for the happiest of holidays to everyone. Okay, so you know that I'm the pattern lady.
I've been asked, how do you get so much done? I use a sewing planner to help me achieve my goals. Now, I have an Etsy store where you can purchase this. In my Etsy store, I'm offering an editable version of my one-page simple sewing planner for you to download to your phone or computer. It's just a little one-page document. Just type your goals into the text boxes, print it out, and pin it on your sewing room wall. I hope you go check it out. You can set New Year's resolutions that you can achieve and make changes to your planner as your goals are met. Your purchase of this 99-cent planner can help me afford to keep my website running with all its great tutorials.